Who is the most disgusting person you've ever met? I worked with a lady years ago who actually smelled like a sewer. In fact, I had to run to the bathroom on two separate occasions because I almost got sick from her body odor. My mom, when her new husband, my dad, was caught molesting my sister, the county took my little sis into foster care. The judge said if my mom wanted to get her back, my dad had to move out. My mom said no, and my sister grew up in foster care from age 9 until 18. My mom told everyone she kicked my sister out because she was using drugs. It's sadly common for women to choose the abusive man over their kids. I saw it a lot when I worked in the foster care system. Many times it's because the mother was SA'd as a child, and that kind of abuse became normalized in her mind. It was always very hard for me to deal with those mothers. Even though the child's case file would detail the mother's abuse as a child, I'm sorry you and your sister had to go through such trauma. Did you have to live with your mother when you were a child? I lived with my mom and my dad until my dad went to prison when I was 15 for repeated against a minor who had parents who actually cared. I took the opportunity to run away from home, and I have lived on my own ever since. My mom took my dad back immediately upon his release from prison, so it was a good move on my part. The child that got him sent to prison is still known in my mom's tirades as that whore. When I worked at the Walmart in a piddly little Missouri town, no other jobs around, of course, an older woman and her middle-aged daughter came in, looking at electronics and eventually needing help. Daughter was on a mobility scooter, but mom was walking around on her own 2 feet. Daughter smelled off. Just like she probably hadn't taken a shower in a bit too long, and likely lived in a house with not great cleaning standards, but I figured, hey, if she's in a scooter, she probably has some difficulty getting around and taking care of things, so I let it go. Then mom sauntered up. I am not exaggerating. This woman likely had not showered in years. The stench was honestly beyond what I can describe in words. Her hair was stringy and greasy. Her skin had a stomach-churning sheen to it. I have seen actual homeless people with severe mental illness, yet better hygiene. I simply cannot even begin to describe the smell. To call it sickening is like calling it sunshine and happiness. I was the first person her daughter approached, and then she, the mother, came up to me, and I could only speak for about a minute and a half before I turned to my boss and said, "Hey, they're looking for X. Do you know anything about that?" And he, who'd been staring with eyes the size of dinner plates the whole time, sighed but did come up as I needed to run to the back room to take a breather. He understood. The strangest thing was that in every other respect she appeared completely and utterly normal. She didn't act strangely. She had her purse, her car keys, and was able to buy the stuff she was looking for. She wanted a television for her trailer and an Xbox 360 for her grandson. That's all. She didn't act crazy or like she was suffering from something. She just didn't bathe. But holy shit, she did not fucking bathe. I'm in the Navy. One deployment, a fellow sailor was bragging and laughing about paying for an escort and then deliberately unloading diarrhea on her face during sex. I stopped talking to him, but several tours later, and I haven't forgotten how disgusting he was. Yo, what the fuck? Fuck this guy. Figuratively. I have to wonder what position they were in for him to unload in her face during sex. There is a special place in hell for him. An old coworker. Never showered. Picked her nose so much she'd get them smeared on her keyboard. So gross about it that she earned the nickname Booger Lady. She was eventually fired after she got multiple ringworm rashes and didn't treat it out of sheer laziness. She didn't even care that it was contagious and found it funny, then told everyone that it was a perk of being a dog mommy. Gross. Reminds me of an old coworker I had. She would use a butter knife from the shared kitchen, plop in her chair in the shared call center, take off her shoes, and shave her heels and clean under her toenails with the knife. It was beyond, perk? My former sister-in-law's younger sister, she lives in a basement with her dog that she never takes outside. He pisses and shits all over her floor, and she'll just leave it there for days. She leaves old food, drinks, plates, and dishes on that floor as well. She'll leave it there after it goes rotten or moldy. She has terrible personal hygiene. She almost never showers. You can smell her ass, feet, and vag from a mile away. It's a combination of sour cheese feet, dry poop, and rotten fish. Indoors, her stink is unbearable, and she covers a wide radius when she's outside. She never cleans up after herself in the bathroom. She never flushes. She'll leave butt dust, menstrual blood, and just straight up shit on the seat without a care in the world. The most fucked up thing is that she's married, and her husband is just as disgusting as she is. I trained in a culinary course with a woman like this. They finally did something about it when she stood in the middle of the kitchen, scratching her vag hand in pants, in front of a group of teenage volunteers. And they only did something then threaten to walk out and never come back. Yeah, funny thing about that. She works in a bakery at a local grocery store. I don't go there anymore. Report that place or something. At the very least, after an inspection, they'll have to fire her. Back when I was in the office, we had a guy that every day for weeks would take a dump on the floor and toilet seat in one of the stalls. He would also wipe with his bare hands and smear it on the walls. The guy needed to be fired and to seek help. COVID hit soon after this, and luckily I never had to deal with that animal again. I worked with a guy at a previous job. He was the quality manager. He was on his 7th marriage and struggled with porn addiction and painkillers. He would bring up anal sex in job interviews and then pop some pills, go to his office and stare at the ceiling for hours. He once shit himself. For his 7th wedding, it was vape-themed and everyone got vapes as gifts. And for all wedding pictures. We fired him. He went to be a corporate guy at Yankee Candle and was fired from there too. And last I heard, he sexually assaulted a girl and somehow took medical leave for a bad elbow and to get more painkillers. What a piece of shit. But a vape-themed wedding is literally the funniest thing I've heard in weeks. The part that he worked at Yankee Candle is kind of hilarious too. I'm bringing this whole example up whenever somebody wonders if they'll ever find a relationship. If this guy can 7 times, so can they. Convinced 7 women to marry him. And despite getting fired and poor performance, gets a job at corporate for a large multinational org. Somehow guys like this keep stumbling forward. My great-grandmother, she would trip her own daughter who had to use a walker because of polio. I remember her laughing so loud because my aunt was flailing on the ground. She's fucking evil. How did great-granddad manage to stay married to her? She really was. He lived on the other side of the country, which looking back was not far enough away. Luckily, I had some really good grandparents to offset her influence. I often try to understand her, but I think she had an undiagnosed condition. Worked with a woman at a former job. She lived next to a local lake in a cabin. Her water well had gone out, so after that she would either shit in a bucket in her backyard or in the lake. She proudly told us this one day in the office. Another time she said that her cat gave birth next to her in her bed one night. She said that she just rolled over and went to sleep after the delivery. I can smell her place from this post. Wood, piss, farts, cat, cigarettes, and a little bit of an unknown virus edit. And wet hay. She sounds extra country. Ron Jeremy, 2011, Nashville Airport. I was a massage therapist working at a chair massage business in the Delta terminal. These are clothed massages where they sit in a chair, thank goodness. The man had a putrid odor, dried crusty blood coming out of his ears, greasy hair filled with dandruff, crusty feet and long toenails peeking out of a pair of slides. His smell was so bad that when I got home I googled Ron Jeremy stinks and found out there were some porn actresses that had a clause refusing to work with him for this very reason. He was also a shitty tipper, and apparently known for that at the airport massage bar. I still get sick to my stomach thinking about this encounter. I worked for a small municipality. A guy was eagerly waiting for his mother to die so he could inherit her very decrepit house. The way he talked, that would make him a man. Someone who owned property in town, he would sit closer to the front in church. He gave me the creeps. My boyfriend and I tried to help a friend move when her home was condemned, and she had to move her stuff into storage. Found out the hard way that she and her mom were hoarders. They had 4 cats and didn't clean the cat litter very often, or have them treated for fleas. How long did it take? We worked for 10 hours with no breaks and no food. My boyfriend slipped on the ice and hurt his tailbone. My brother for quite a few reasons, mainly because he SA me when I was young and never was held accountable. Second, and almost equally as evil, was taking advantage of our parents. When my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, he and his shitbag kids, moved in with them and made the house unlivable and never paid a dime in rent. Also, when my mom's condition started to progress and my dad had to run to the store, and he trusted her to my brother, he would lock her in the bathroom. I didn't find that out until after my husband and I moved them in with us so we could help take care of them. And the chef's kiss of deplorable behavior, he didn't come to the funeral because we wouldn't ship her body back to the state they were from, because my father wanted her here. He lives now and can visit her easier than 7-hour road trips. You're a better person than me for not beating the shit out of him. Thank you. And that's what my husband says as well. We've been working through a lot of this in my trauma therapy, and basically I need him with me and not in jail. My ex, she would get drunk and try physically attack me, and when I would restrain her, she would spit on at me, among other things. It was a rough last few years of the decade-long relationship. Yeah, that sounds rough. Good thing you two aren't together anymore, and she's probably tormenting someone else right now. She's in jail for possession of meth. Imagine that. Not sure. Met someone a few times who was eventually sentenced to the most consecutive years in prison in our state's history. Prolific serial rapist. Or there was my BFF's boyfriend in high school who was essentially a cult leader and went on to attempt to murder his parents. One survived. Probably the boyfriend. Of the two, he scared me the most. Thank you very much for watching this video. Write your thoughts in the comments under this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for new videos in the future.